Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I specifically want to talk about Vecna Eva Ruin, Chapter 8. And at this point, we're on Avernus, and we are in the Red Belvedere Casino. And today we're going to talk about Casino Pitmaster Kaylan Renaudon. Kaylan Renaudon is a vampire, all right? And that would mean that usually his sustenance, what he needs to live, is the blood of humans, right? That's the classic cost of being a vampire. People don't, you could live forever, but you need to feed on human blood, right? And you could work around this, and people are like, oh, you could drink a cow or some other creature, but generally over centuries that doesn't work. Either it leads to a life that is not sufficient, or it'd be like living as a vegan in real life. Like, it just, nobody wants to do that, right? Right. So functionally, you got to feed on human blood, right? Well, Kaylan Renaudon is really interesting. He has a sword of life stealing, which is a powerful magical item all on its own, right? Kaylan Renaudon has this sword of life stealing. But this one, actually, he simply touches it. It has an additional power. He touches it to a soul coin, and it gives him everything he needs to live. It literally replaces the drinking of human blood. Now, this would be incredibly valuable on any realm that has vampires, which, frankly, I think Forgotten Realms has vampires. Ravenloft has vampires. Strixhaven has vampires. This would be incredibly valuable. This would so you could live forever and have all the benefits of being a vampire, but at the same time, you are freed from the struggles, right? And that's a big freaking deal. That's like a really big deal, right? And so that's pretty interesting, and highly valuable. Now, Kaylan Renaudon is a casino pitmaster. This is important to the Dragon Master characters. They have all 6 of the Rod of 7 parts. They're only seeking the last, right? And it's here in the Red Belvedere Casino, which is dedicated to Tiamat. But this pitman, and so at this point, the players need to get invited. The Dragon Master characters need to get invited into the Red Queen's into the Dragon's Pride, which is a club which is a special private invitation only club within the casino. So they need to, and the only way to get there is to gain the favor of a pitmaster who can invite you in. So Kaylan Renaudon has the ability to do that. Now, he is a pitmaster. The pits are different. What is his pit? It is the Stygian maze. Now, what is the Stygian maze? It is a special, think of it as a theme park. It's about the same size as think of it as like Epcot in the Disney. It's a theme park, then has smaller little subset, not themes, because it is a theme park, but the theme park has subset galleries, right? So the Stygian maze is available to anybody who's in the Red Belvedere, but the only people who could survive it are adventurers. Now, what is the Stygian maze? So you go into the Stygian maze, you pay a fine, and it's paid in gold. It's actually paid in talons, excuse me. So talons are the currency of the special currency of the Red Belvedere. So you pay your, I think it's 20 or 40 talons, and then you go into the Stygian maze, and it tests adventurers from the perspective of finding their way out of the maze, which is filled with traps and treasures, right? So you go in, and the traps could kill you. If the traps kill you, well, then, the way that the Red Belvedere makes their money is you went in, you didn't take any treasure out, they're 40 talons richer, good to go, right? And the Stygian maze can be set to different levels. But you could pay your 40 talons and then come out with 100, 200, 300 talons worth of treasure, right? So it has traps and treasures. So the Stygian maze is essentially a created dungeon, right? But no monsters, just traps and just a maze. So you need to use your intellect to find your way out, and you need to use your rogue skills to get around the traps, right? So the Stygian Maze is one of the attractions at the Red Belvedere, which you could think of as a theme park that has multiple attractions, right? And so Kaylan Renaudon is in charge of the Stygian Maze. Now, what's really fascinating is the lore on Dungeons and Dragons is so high. This is high enough where this is, bold enough and rich enough of a story to actually support multiple stories happening in the Stygian Maze, right? And we may actually see audiobooks, presented about the Stygian Maze. We may see other adventures that happen there, and you could do things yourself with your Dragon Master crew in the Stygian Maze, right? But that is one of the pit masters that they need to get the advice from, which is pretty fascinating. And we get to meet Kaylan Renaudon, vampire who has a sword which can replace human blood feeding for vampires. That's huge. There's so many quests kind of like put in together here. The other thing I think you want to know is, like, we see these dungeon master characters come forward, right? We have dragon master characters; those are created with player character sheets, and then we see these dungeon master characters, and these are created by the dungeon master. And it's important to understand, when they happen in a D&D canon hardback, there's always a chance of looking at a Jarlaxle, right? Like, so Jarlaxle just came out of a D&D story, and so Kaylan Renaudon may be famous in the future. We don't know. It was very interesting, and so I wanted to present one of the pit masters from Chapter 8, Dragon Queen's Pride, and I wanted to present that. And remember, this is important to the Dragon Masters because he is a key to he is one possible path to getting invited into Dragon's Pride, where the last rod piece is. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion on the coolest parts of Chapter 8. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion about Kaylan Renaudon, about his incredibly valuable sword, and about Avernus itself. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.